Hi everyone, welcome to the 333 Premier webinar of HDFC Securities. I'm Payal Pandya from the Investment Advisory team, and with me today to discuss the cement sector, we have Rajesh. Hi Rajesh, welcome.
Yeah, hi.
Rajesh joins us with 12 years of experience tracking the cement sector and has been with HDFC Securities for the past 1.5 years. So Rajesh, Indian cement production capacity as of FY20 was about 545 million ton, and it accounted for 8% of the total global production of cement. Now, of this, 98% lies with the private sector, and in that 98%, about 70% production, is between 20 major players. So, and from what I understand from several industry reports, that a larger chunk of this is, in the production is in Andhra, Rajasthan, and Tamil Nadu. So, how do you see this? I mean, the largest manufacturers are South being the largest, then comes, say, West, and then the North and East, and all. So, how is it placed in terms of balance?
Yeah. Hi, Payal. So, India is the second largest cement producer globally after China. Ex-China, this is
Mhm.
obviously the largest producer. In terms of regional distribution of cement capacities in India, that depends largely on that dependence is largely driven by limestone, which is the critical raw material. So South has the largest quantity of limestone and quite spread out across South. AP, Telangana, Karnataka, they are good reserves of limestone reserves. And that is why there have been many cement companies which have come up in the South markets. And South today accounts for almost one third of the total cement capacity in India,
Hmm.
150 to 160 million ton out of, yeah, around 30-35% alone would be account. 30% for sure is accounted by South players. South as a market also, there are many number of players, small players. There are big players as well, and there are small players as well. So it's a quite fragmented market. Now, outside
Hmm.
South, even as I said, limestone is the key raw material for cement. So Rajasthan in North is a major limestone hub, and most of the cement capacities in North are largely based out of Rajasthan. If you come down to the central market of UP and MP, UP has very limited limestone reserves. It's MP where limestone reserves are spread across, and most of the cement plants are based out of MP. When I say cement plant, largely the clinkerization units. When you move to
Hmm.
East, in East also not all states are bestowed with limestone reserves. We largely have limestone reserves in East only in Chhattisgarh and in Odisha. There is sporadic limestone reserves in Bihar, very small quantity, even in UP, even in Jharkhand or West Bengal. Hardly any limestone reserves are there. So these, places, states are only having grinding stations. When you come,
Hmm.
as I already discussed, South markets. When you go to West, comprising of Gujarat, Maharashtra, both these states have decent amount of limestone reserves, and both these states have capacity, cement capacity set up. So this is how most of the cement plants are spread across India. Yeah,
So, Rajesh, if we understand that correctly, the larger production hubs are in the current situation. One of those was affected with COVID 2019.
hmm
And does this not really cause a major impact on the overall production that is likely to come in this year and until this crisis is actually solved? Should it hamper the
So
production overall?
yeah, correct. So see, from cement, there are two three things which is part where you need to understand the impact of COVID.
Hmm.
Cement production is largely, large scale of work and related to cement production is automated. So from a
Hmm.
factory perspective, your production is, imp- yes, it is impacted because of packing plants. You require labor who operate those plants. Loading and loading. There are many automatic loading and loading machines, but large part of the production, the limestone, then clinkerization, then grinding. A major chunk of these activities are automated or machine driven. So limited amount
Hmm.
of labor involvement or whatever labor is required, they're all high skilled labors and doesn't require much of a clustering that will have an impact. So production per se is less impacted from a cement manufacturer perspective. It is dependent on various raw materials. Limestone is captive. You require coal, you require fly ash, you require gypsum. All those things have to come from various other players. That supply can get impacted when there are issues with logistics, primarily transportation scarcity, which companies did face for 2 months,
Hmm.
primarily. In terms of the consumption side, that is the more critical element because consumption of cement is, either it's a retail consumption or it's a infrastructure driven projects. So, surprisingly, with despite COVID, ex-South markets, ex-South and West largely Maharashtra. If you look demand outside these two, major regions, demand has been on a growth phase rather than a decline on a year-on-year basis. Barring April,
Hmm.
we have seen demand growing. So why is that happening? What we understand from our marketing checks is that the retail segment is doing very strong. Start earlier when mid May onwards, there has been good jump in retail sales. Dealers have been, all across are showing good volume growth, and companies are also, seeing demand coming in from the retail segments. So initially, what we thought that it is pre-monsoon, pent up demand because if I have to
Hmm.
make a house, I can only defer it for few months, but with the monsoon, months coming along. So we thought that it is because monsoon is nearby, so people are just completing their housing work. And it also happened that there are lot of migration which happened from major cities into. So people were sitting idle. They had cash and all the discretionary cash and work which need to be done. So they did went go ahead and completed housing work and all. So retail demand has been strong, but it is not just that because people were available in the rural areas, it is there, a pent up demand or fast tracking of consumption which has happened. Demand even continues to grow year on year in subsequent months.
Hmm.
Seasonally adjusted, if I look at year on year, even during monsoon month, our channel check suggests that north, central, and east markets
Hmm.
are showing a growth number. So, despite non-trade being in a bad shape, you have less availability of labor, there are delays in projects, deferments, but so if I say North, Central, and East should be growing between sub 10% growth and 30% of demand comes from non-trade segment, okay, and despite that
Hmm.
70% is driving a 7-8% demand growth, so that would mean that the retail segment is growing at 10% plus, and non-trade, even if you do have declining at 20%, trade is holding, fort. So this is where
Hmm.
the retail segment is strong across all markets, whereas in South there is sharp decline in the non-trade government projects, and retail there is
Hmm.
growth, but it is not keeping, it is not helping into a positive growth. Numbers that we are seeing in South is almost 20 to 30% decline YOY, which
Hmm.
continues in over the last 4 to 5 months. So unlike many other and like if you see the RMC is a ready mix concrete which goes into infrastructure projects. That sales in first quarter they grew by almost 50 to 60%. Many companies,
Correct.
cement companies report their numbers, ACC, Ultratech, uh, uh, JK Lakshmi, Prism Cement. These are major, not some of them are big companies, but each of them report the RMC segment revenues, and there they have faced a 50 to 60% decline. Whereas in
Hmm.
cement, the decline was 20 to 30%. The trend continues even in Q2. Demand in cement continues to be much stronger than on the infrastructure segment, or even, if you see other building materials, they have not been growing at similar pace as cement is doing. So cement per
Hmm.
se is relatively more resilient.
Okay. So do we not expect that in the quarters to come, when things start normalizing and a lot of business picks up even in the south and the west especially, where real estate and infra, both these sectors are expecting relatively, better quarters starting
Mhm.
H2 of FY21. Do you think the demand for cement also should pick up in these regions?
Yeah, so that is the hope. What we understand, our infrastructure analyst has been, his channel check suggests that there is a lot of reverse migration which is happening. Labor
Hmm.
force, skilled labor force are coming back to jobs because, there is some amount of sanity in terms of COVID. Fear is
Hmm.
relatively low, and people are ready to venture out, and that is where the non-trade segment is expected to be relatively less impacted in the second half of the financial year. So even if it flattens out on a year-on-year basis, that itself would be a strong number versus 20 to 30% decline in the first half of the
Hmm.
financial year. So,
Correct.
and on the same time, if the retail segment remains steady, as it is growing, overall it will be beneficial for the sector. And obviously, South and Maharashtra markets or West markets, which are currently facing demand weakness, headwinds, they may turn, in a favorable zone.
Okay. So there is some hope, but of course, time will tell.
Sure.
So, Rajesh, as your report suggests, in the north and central markets especially, we are seeing higher cement prices and they are expected to grow even further, which, probably will aid their revenues and margins in the times to come. So,
Mhm.
how do we understand that? Because is it not a fact that these prices are already high and they have risen in the last few maybe quarters or whatever? So, prices which are already high, we are still expecting them to grow further. Is that
Sure.
my fair understanding?
Yes. So I'll just share my screen where I'll be able to show my report also. So
Yes, please
what
go
we
ahead.
are, yeah. So in this report, what we have able to analyze and show is that let me first give a perspective why this note. You know, in this cement demand per se, we don't have any clean data, to
Hmm.
analyze demand. Okay, and this is not only within analyst fraternity, even managements of bigger cement companies, they have time and again been very explicit that predicting cement demand is just a futile exercise. It's very difficult to, how retail demand will shape up over next few months, next one year,
Hmm.
how non-trade sales will pick up, which project will get executed at what period of time. So that is mostly an academic exercise people do engage into. So how do, as an analyst or as a fund manager, how do one spot, which are the zone of profits? How do you understand which companies would do better if I have to give a 2 to 3 year view in the
Hmm.
sector? So this is where I try to bring out few factors which are more structural in nature, which are predictable, and which can be quantified and could be back tested. So
Hmm.
what we have in this report try to find out that there are two factors for a revenue growth: volume and pricing. So volume is difficult
Hmm.
to predict. So can we get a sense on the pricing scenario? How would pricing behave? Okay, because
Hmm.
pricing is also the high, in cement, the sensitivity is for every 1% price gain, your EBITDA moves up by 5% and vice versa. So this is a 4 to 5 times the impacted EBITDA for every 1% change in realization. So
Hmm.
in this report, we have focused largely on the drivers of the pricing. Okay, so if I'll take you through my note. So what we try to see this diagram where we have highlighted is, the disconnect between demand and price. For last 5 years, while the north market and central markets demand group CAGR was hardly 2 to 3%. The price growth has been strong, 4.5% on an average. If I look at the
Hmm.
eastern market, which has been growing at a fast pace, last 5 years it has grown at 12% CAGR. The prices have grown just at 1%. Similarly, you see South, the demand growth has been relatively better, 4%, no growth, no pricing growth, marginal decline.
Hmm.
West also is all over the place. So obviously, by chasing demand numbers, you're not making any conclusive outlook on the demand also and on the pricing side. So we try to find out reasons where we can have a view on how prices should behave from a 2 to 3 year perspective. So when I, look at factors, I zero down upon these three critical factors, which are more structural in nature, and these can give you a clue on how prices should behave from a 2 to 3 year perspective. So when I talk of first is capacity consolidation. Now, capacity, each cement is a regional product. It's a low value commodity where you cannot have long lead distance. Freight cost inching up beyond 20% of the sales price. It's uneconomical and you don't compete. So cement largely trades in a regional zone. So you need to
Hmm.
understand regional capacities. Even if the pan-India utilization may be, capacity utilization may be 70%, you will have different markets which would be operating at high capacity utilization. There would be less number of players, more consolidated market. So that analysis is one where you need to understand for every regions how are the capacities being concentrated at what number of players. That is one
Hmm.
factor. Higher the consolidation we have seen, better the pricing power in those markets. Capacity utilization, and this we largely focus on clinker capacity utilization in the regions because this is the main, what constraining factor a company faces. So in a region where you have most, on an average, the clinker utilization hovering 80% and above, in that
Hmm.
market there are less propensity of volume push and hence a better pricing power. And third
Hmm.
is new entrants. So any market and primarily in cement, if a new entrant comes into play, he or she has to ramp up the capacities to 50-60%, to stabilize the plant. And, you need to have that much of utilization. You cannot run a plant at 20%. Your everything, cost parameter will all go haywire. And demand,
Hmm.
as I said, it's cement is also a perishable product. So you cannot store cement just because it is available for free. Even if I
Hmm.
give cement 300 rupee a bag at 100 rupee a bag, if someone sells to me, I cannot have cement which is not required by me for in next 2 months. Beyond 2 months, it's a waste. It's
Hmm.
a stone powder. So whenever a new entrant makes entry into a market, if it ramps up capacities, this will obviously create disturbance because demand doesn't increase proportionately, and you will have a pricing war. So these three factors together are more structural in nature in terms of these can be quantified. You know which capacities are coming in various market. Is that capacity from a new player or an existing player, trying to gain market share or improve the cost structure? Capacity utilization, because you know which capacities are coming up in which market, what is their balance sheet strength. You can take a calculated view of will the capacity
Hmm.
see day of light in next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. There are enough data available. And capacity consolidation, when you have plant wise capacity, region wise capacity for all players, cement is fairly organized. Barring a few names which is in the unlisted space, almost most players, 75% of the industries listed and are their balance sheet financials are all publicly available. So it's much easier to analyze these factors and take a calculated call. So these three factors have been strong, when these three factors work in conjugation, you may have strong pricing power. And that is where
Hmm.
our analysis of uh, cement, stocks across regions on these three parameters. So we found the North Central market continues to be a strong play. You see the
Hmm.
capacity concentration for the North Central players. The red line and the blue line. Uh, the top three share, top five share. Top five companies have 70 in North market. 70% of the capacities are with the top five players. In Central, 80% plus of the capacities, so 70 to 80% of the capacity is with serious player, big players, and that
Hmm.
is where the disturbances in terms of volume push in any market, that impact is lower in the north central regions. Now,
Okay.
you see this trend where I have compared the consolidation across regions. FY20, how does it shapes out in FY23? Less number of player in north central market, large amount of capacities which are controlled by these players in these regions. How do you see south? Large number of players, less number of capacity with these top five players. Similarly in east and west, they are lower versus the north central markets. Next
Hmm.
3 years, also the situation is not going to meaningfully change. East is showing some better consolidation because of recent M&As which have happened. Nobuco buying out Imami, Century Textiles being bought out by Ultratech. These two factors are supporting better consolidation in the East markets. But East market has other pains in terms of the new entrance threat. So North Central market continues to be well consolidated markets even for next 3 years. Now look at the regional utilization.
Hmm.
North Central market last 5 year average is North has been, this is grinding utilization, cement grinding utilization. North Central market 75% plus, North market Central is 85% plus. Exclude FY21 where I've conservatively factored in volume to decline for 21, but it seems
Hmm.
there could be a positive risk to these numbers, the trend that we are seeing for last 3 months. So we may end up being sub 10% because April and first half of May, they are obviously lost out months. So the utilization in subsequent month is going recovering close to 75%, 70 to 75% at cement grinding level. If I look at these numbers at clinker level, we would be close to 80%. Uh, for sure, in next 2 years, we may jump back to 80% plus clinker utilization in North Central market.
Hmm.
So that means overall regional utilization to remain at similar pace as we have seen in the last 5 years. Now the third factor, you know, this is where we have discussed also in terms of many a times companies do announce capacities and because of their balance sheet, their execution capabilities, and sometimes the COVID and external factor, capacities get delayed, and that is why the north central market pace of new expansions obviously slightly higher versus last five period for last 3 to 5 years, but not a big chunk of capacities are being piled up in these markets. Now, quickly, the third factor, low influx of new entrants. So our analysis suggests that though there are players which are coming up in these markets, but the intensity is very low. Very few players. Penna Cement is expected to be one big player which is ramping up in these markets, but they may not be bigger threats. Penna Cement capacities will get uh, commissioned by end of late FY23. So that may have a positive impact for the incumbents. For FY21, 22, 23, the impact of these capacities will be limited.
Hmm.
And yeah, so if I look the regional pricing trend across other markets on similar parameters, we understand that North Central market continues to be best based on all these three parameters. And because we have North Central players have already seen a 4.5% pricing CAGR for last 5 years. Yes, subsequent price increases may not be as strong, on a conservative basis, but they can for sure hold on. So it's not a risk that we are staring, that we have seen inflated pricing in these markets, cartel
Hmm.
driven, obviously not. There are fundamental strength to it. So on the worst case scenario, also these, there may not be any growth, but obviously these prices may not cool off. And if there is some demand support, which will further improve the utilization, it can have a meaningful positive trend growth trigger for on the pricing side. So North
Okay.
Central structurally can deliver better realizations.
So,
Yeah.
Rajesh, in relation with this only, assuming that the prices don't correct in the north, you know, maybe they don't rise too much as they have in the past, but at least they are
Yes.
not likely to correct from here on because
Sure.
they are fair, uh, considering the other positives. How do we see, suppose capacity utilizations reach 75-80% in, say, near future? So, with demand also starting to increase by then, do you think this will require more of capacity additions too there, since the existing capacities will start getting exhausted? And do you see more investments coming in that region?
So see, as far as capacity in cement, you know, most companies have an already announced expansion plans, and
Hmm.
this is an ongoing process. Almost all companies keep on because cement is something where you cannot just order an equipment and next year your
Hmm.
capacity will be on steam. It's almost a 5-year process from the day it get into the drawing board and it finally sees the day of light. It's almost 5 years. You need to first get and identify the limestone source you want to work with, and then you get into you apply for environmental clearances, you take mining leases. These are all a lot of tedious jobs. Now, these itself
Hmm.
take 2 to 3 years, and after these things are accomplished, the civil work and all and equipment that takes another 1.5 to 2 years. Very strong, very fast. Some of this obviously you can defer it even after you start the plant, but the bare minimum time is for a greenfield plant is 4 years.
Hmm.
So far the pipeline is not very high. If I look at it from a 3 year perspective, I don't see very large pipeline of cement capacities coming up across most markets. Some of the capacities are bunching up in the east markets because east is promising good demand numbers. So if I have as a producer, see where is the disconnect is as a the disconnect between a producer and a stock buyer. The
Hmm.
company has a view of 10 to 20 years. He or she is seeing which are the underpenetrated markets. If I'm able to get limestone security and if I'm able to establish myself in next 3 to 4 years, I have a 20-year visibility. Promised, so he or she is investing into a business. Even if it is not doing great today, that market is not doing very great, but if there is potential for demand, companies will set up capacities, and that is where East is seeing a lot of investments happening in cement factories.
Hmm.
However, from a minority shareholders where we are concerned, we cannot wait for a we are not a minority shareholders, or obviously not most of them are private equity investors where you have a view of 5 to 10 years. So in the
Hmm.
interim, because it's a capex heavy business, you know your near-term profitability matters a lot. If your markets where you're operating, where the prices are volatile, there is competition, that will all have a negative bearing on the profits. It will dent
Hmm.
your leverage ratios, and that is where the valuations gets penalized, and stocks don't perform or they go bust. So from that perspective, North Central market tend to be in a favorable zone. Having said that, capacity addition pipeline for next 3 years is there. Beyond that, there are very less clear visibility. Almost everyone is
Hmm.
saying we have plans for to grow at 10 million ton, 8 million ton, but most of the serious players are also cognizant of the fact that because they are stock market based companies, they need to also be more prudent on the balance sheet. They just don't go and
Hmm.
announce capex and which your balance sheet leverage ratios hit into a red zone and your stock gets penalized.
Correct. So, Rajesh, there are two things in this that I'm a little confused about. Firstly, if it is such a capital intensive industry, how is it that we have so many players, plus we are also seeing so many new entrants and all that? And secondly, where do we see the white cement, subsector going? Is it
Mhm.
gaining market? Are we seeing more players in the white cement category, or how is it?
So first on the capital intensive nature of the business, yes, cement is indeed a capital intensive business. In terms of first, the for every 1 million ton capacity, 600 to 700 crore of investment is required, which
Hmm.
itself is a large amount. And then for every 1 million ton of sales you do, you need to have at least working capital requirement of at least to start with a 50 to 60 days worth of working capital. So, from for a new player, and you just cannot, 1 million ton factory itself is not economical operationally. And operationally economical, or economies of scale, if you want to achieve stable optimum utilization, your plant size should at least be of 2 to 3 million ton. So you need an investment amount of at least 1200 to 1500 crore. So that's not a small
Hmm.
amount anyone can commit. A player has to be a serious one. There have been
Hmm.
new entrants, but most of them, some of them who have been who entered the market in last 10 years from a trading perspective, that they may seeing that plants are being traded at good cost. They have burnt their fingers, and most of them have exited. JP is a classic case. They had to sell off because they became too big, too fast. Not giving respect to the balance sheet, and they went bust. Had to sell off ABG Cement. It also, tried to set up a 6 million ton company, had to exit. Reliance exited, Birla Corp bought it out.
Hmm.
Okay, Imami Cement also has now exited. Binani was a good play. For some other reasons, it had to exit the markets. So there has been good amount of consolidation. Cement, though it appears to be a commodity, you need to be a serious and long haul player. If you are a new
Hmm.
entrant, you cannot come and say, I am here to set up a capacity and sell it off as a trading play. You may not get the valuations. If you see from a M&A perspective, the cement factories today, that recent trades in last 3 to 5 years have happened at around 600 to 800 crore per ton, per million ton. If you look at
Hmm.
what in 2007, 8, 9, 10, when MNCs entered India, they also bought it at similar or slightly higher valuations. So from a buyer and seller perspective of company, you're
Hmm.
not going to make money if you believe ki you make a set up a factory at $100, and in 5 years down the line you will be able to sell it off for $200. That obviously
Hmm.
is not the case. So either you are an operational guy or you don't enter this industry. Second, on the white cement.
Hmm.
White cement in India is largely, white cement requires very high grade of limestone, okay, which is largely present in Rajasthan, and there's some amount of this is available in MP, small quantity.
Hmm.
Nowhere else in India do we have that quality of limestone. Hence, in India, white stone manufacturing capacity largely lies with two major players, Ultratech and JK Cement. White cement,
Hmm.
80% of the domestic market is controlled by these two players in terms of production. Then there are a lot of imports which come in India. Now, white cement is not itself is a white cement is also a B2C product, but it is also a B2B product. White cement
Hmm.
is used to make white cement based putty. Now this
Hmm.
putty also, 20% of the putty is white cement. There are a lot of other chemicals which goes into putty, and putty is a big market. It is used before painting.
Hmm.
So Ultratech and JK Cement together have close to 40% of the market together. Asian Paints have gained market because it already had the paint distribution. It is buying white cement from domestic players as well as import. There are a lot of import companies which export to India. So white cement is abundantly available in India.
Hmm.
And putty is where this JK Cement, Ultratech, JK Cement, and Asian Paints. These three are big players today in the white putty market, and this is a strong market also. Putty demand has been quite strong, and among the listed space, and relatively big quantity of profit coming in for JK Cement and Ultratech. What we understand from the reported numbers of JK Cement and earlier from Ultratech, this market sees a steady growth and margin profile is 25 to 30% in this market versus 15 to 20% in the gray cement. So
Hmm.
net, these markets are very strong. White and putty cement market is a strong market. From a business perspective, but you have a lot of there are no scope for many players to come into this because limestone capacity is quite consolidated.
Hmm. That's very insightful, Rajesh. Coming to Ultratech, okay, because
Hmm.
it's the largest and apparently the sales volume of Ultratech is almost as equivalent to the collective volume of the next three companies. So if we that is just to understand how big the business for Ultratech is. So if the larger players are taking so much of market share, do you think this actually makes life very difficult for the remaining large number of mid and small players in the industry? Because eventually then should we be seeing more of consolidation because they will not be able to catch up, and with new entrants possibly coming in, plus there are external players also in. So is this sector in for a large scale consolidation even now? Like the big becomes
So
bigger, and
yes,
what happens to the smaller companies?
so there are two three aspects. For sure, efficiency has no alternative. You need
Hmm.
to be one of most efficient on the costing front. So Indian cement industry is also already one of the most efficient globally in terms of the production capabilities. Okay, in
Hmm.
terms of pollution norms, in terms of meeting the pollution norms, they're one of the best globally. The Indian industry suffers on logistics front because logistics, which is such a so far a boon also for the industry because you cannot move long distances. Our logistics is not available such that we can transport long distance at a much lower cost. So efficiency wherever in terms of your production cost, your overhead cost management is paramount for any cement company. And most of the players, larger the big ones and most of the smaller ones are also, doing their bit every year to reduce their cost, in the sector. However,
Hmm.
there are limitations which can be done. So yes, consolidation will happen, and we are already seeing what is happening is that because there have been a lot of small factories and cement is still a regional play, there is not much of a willingness which we have seen from small players, you know
Hmm.
be it in south any markets which are forthcoming and say, "Okay, let me sell off my business and go away." Ironically, most of the decent players also are trading at 50 $60 on the
Hmm.
on the basis current market cap. Whereas if they sell off the business, they may get 80 to $100 valuations. Okay,
Hmm.
but has that enticed smaller players to sell off and go? No, we have not seen any such player selling off. So why so? Because most of them are, their balance sheet is stable, they don't have debt to service. Whatever they are getting, they are happy with it. But because Ultratech, Shree Cement, Dalmia, now even ACC and Buja have
Hmm.
you know accelerated their growth pedal. If I look at from a 10-year perspective, obviously these will gain market share considerably. So
Hmm.
there could be a painful exit for the small and largely inefficient players. Okay,
Hmm.
so if I'm small and I'm also inefficient, I'm not invested in production, I may not be able to fight on the costing front. My cost parameters will remain sub optimal. My realization is already lower versus the tier one players. In that case, the margin profitability will be significantly hit. But understand that, can it be like a Geo versus other telecom operators where one a big guy comes and spoil the market? Can that happen? No. Cement is not, is a high it's high on the capital type investment, but on a production side, it's a highly variable cost structure industry. So
Hmm.
if until unless a big guy like Ultratech or anyone is ready to bleed for 5 years continuously at EBITDA level, and I say no, I will not sell cement at 300 rupees, even if I am making 1,000 rupees, which is 50 rupees EBITDA per bag. If I sell at
Hmm.
200 rupees, let me make minus 1,000 rupee margin, negative margin. And if I'm ready to bleed that for next 5 years, then only it can destroy, totally kill out the smaller players.
Hmm.
Again, even if it does that, it may not gain anything. In subsequent period, some else, as Ultratech start to increase prices, you will see new entrants. So that will never play out. Some consolidation will keep on happening, but it will be a slow pace. I don't see a case where in next 5 years you will see that bottom 10% or 20% of the capacity all getting, sold off.
Okay. Also, Rajesh, talking about pollution and cost efficiency and all, I was reading somewhere that the clinker to cement ratio on an average in
Mhm.
India is somewhere like 0.77x. Is my reading correct? So if
So yeah,
so lower the ratio, I think there will be lesser power cost and you know uh, to some extent lesser emissions as well. Does this
correct.
all somewhere do the companies use this in terms of boosting their margins, or how is it, how do they deal with the clinker to cement percentage, and where do we see the margins going in future basis this?
Right. Sure. So, see, this is a chart. These two charts would be quite helpful. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So in India, as I said, that Indian producers are quite forthcoming or proactive in terms of their emission norms, their
Hmm.
pollution concerns on the cement industry perspective, and hence there are a lot of clinker substitution. So cement is
Hmm.
largely, barring limestone, there are a lot of waste material which goes into manufacturing of cement. So fly ash, slag, they're all waste material for different industries which are consumed into manufacturing of cement. So cement industry has obviously done a large part of the work in terms of selling large amount of blended cement. Okay,
Hmm.
so that cement to clinker ratio is on a continuous decline. You know, sorry, clinker to cement ratio is on a decline. Now this is any concern for the environment will remain sustainable if it is driven by economic factors, because end of the day money matters. Okay, so
Hmm.
incentive has to come in form of money, and that is where people have the manufacturers have lapped on to replacing the clinker with fly ash and slag, substituting clinker. Now, why
Hmm.
this substitution is effective? Because fly ash, even when the waste material is being charged, is still available to manufacturers at lower cost versus the substitute clinker, and hence net
Hmm.
net my production cost goes. Also,
Okay.
clinker need to be ground, whereas fly ash is already in a powder form. Grinding cost is lower. Okay, so net net, the industry is continuously adopting newer technologies to not only sell more blended cement but also increase the proportion of these waste materials in the same cement. So earlier, for a PPC cement, if 25% of the cement was fly ash, today many companies, the same PPC cement is having 33% fly ash, in the composition. So that
Hmm.
further reduces the operating cost. So the industry has been working on strongly on this front. There are a lot of technological advancement, chemicals which help them support this, increased blending, and this is reducing the power requirement. So when you reduce the power requirement, obviously you're contributing less toward, carbon dioxide emission, that is a greenhouse gas emission, and the industry has a set benchmark, global benchmarks which many companies are trying to meet. They are already ahead in terms of the parameters. So Indian cement industry is doing all which is possible to reduce their carbon footprint,
Hmm.
which in turn is also helping reduce the operating cost for the manufacturers.
Okay. So that means we should expect stable or improving margins in the near future,
Yes.
if my understanding is correct.
Yeah.
So Rajesh, that's pretty good. Now, in terms of our top stocks, which are
Mhm.
Ultratech, JK, and Birla Corp, right? A
Yeah.
lot of cement stocks we have seen in the past have seen significant run up. How do we see these stocks, and what should be an ideal time horizon, investment horizon from now on?
Mhm. So cement stocks, in the large cap space, Ultratech is obviously a very promising name because of the last Ultratech, the stock performance was subdued over last 2 to 3 years because the company was, engaged in inorganic acquisition, Century, uske pehle Binani, and then JPS,
Hmm.
last 3 to 4 years. And when you do integration of M&As, this will temporarily reduce the, integration requires timelines, and hence, they kill the margin expansion. So everything being done now, Ultratech is sweating hard in terms of economies of scale, economies of scope, in terms of sweating its distribution network and gaining on the profitability. So Ultratech is a good play for next 3 to 5 years. It could be a
Hmm.
consistent compounder, because
Okay.
now most of the background work is done. It's all set
Hmm.
to deliver now, and that is where it's a compounder, consistent compounder from a 3 to 5 year view. If I need to look into other names, from a long-term perspective, mid caps, I find comfort in JK Cement and Birla Corp. JK Cement, it has almost 40% of the EBITDA, or 35 to 40% of the EBITDA will come from white and putty, where it is a 25 to 30% EBITDA margin business.
Hmm.
Last 7 to 8 year, every year this business has grown at EBITDA level, which is unlike in cement. There are periods where you may have a flattish or a EBITDA decline. So the white cement business is a steady growth business, high margin. The gray cement business, large, almost 75% of the capacity
Hmm.
is coming from the north central market for JK Cement. It is further, next 3 to 5 years, it will further enhance its presence in the central market, where it has worked very hard on the distribution network and brand premiumization in the gray cement business, and that is reflected in improving margins. On the costs also, it has, worked significantly. Supply chain management, it has recently concluded, and these things are all yielding into higher margin for the gray cement. So
Hmm.
both the businesses on a firing mode, and balance sheet is quite, stable balance sheet. It's not unlevered. Net debt to equity, is slightly lower than 1x, but a healthy mix of, profitability, I would say. Return ratios are all on an uptrend. Again, this is a consistent compounder. Third, I recommend is Birla Corp, which we recently initiated, a company which is large, again, north central based company, a focused company, very strong on the retail network. 100% of cement is,
Hmm.
almost 90% is blended cement, 80% plus trade exposure. On the brand premiumization, it has one of the largest share of brand, premium brands. 20% of its total cement is premium brands, whereas for most
Hmm.
players this is not more than 10%. In terms of cost side, if this company is working on multiple triggers, all of these will help, boost its margin. Balance sheet also, because of its major expansion, by early next year it will be completed. Thereafter, we could see leverage ratios cooling off. So operationally and on growth, very strong. A small issue which the company, is facing, and it comes into news, is which people perceive it to be slightly negative, is the promote fight between the promoters.
Hmm.
The current Lodas, and the
Correct.
contentious between the Lodas or the Birlas. However, from a minority shareholder perspective, I need to analyze objectively, has this fight, which is going on for last 15 years, impacted the growth story for Birla Corp? No. The company from
Hmm.
a 9 million ton company, it acquired Reliance Cement, and now it is on course of adding another 4 million ton capacity. So it is almost doubling its capacity in a 10-year time frame. So that speaks that there is no hurdle on the growth front. In terms of the operationally and margin, is it suffering on margins? It is delivering suboptimal profit margin? No. Company is already delivering 900 plus EBITDA margin in FY20, and various cost measures which is ongoing will add another 140 rupees to the cost side. So, we could see from a 3 to 4 year perspective, a steady growth company with 10,000 rupee plus EBITDA margin. So, operationally, a very strong play to look at. And the management, whoever be the promoter, that is a judicial, matter. And we need not speculate or be overwhelmed by those outcomes. A professionally run
Hmm.
business will command its due. Cement is very transparent business. You can compare performances across company. And from a minority shareholders perspective, I would also say from in Birla Corp, because of this ongoing fight between the promoters, be assured that there would be there is hardly any scope of any corporate governance issues, you can ever spot in Birla Corp. And what more as a retail investor or any investor as a minority shareholder, I would
Hmm.
want. I have a natural agency seated on top which is overseeing my interest as a promoter is not shortchanging me. And that is where I
Right.
say Birla Corp has strong legs. It's, from a 2 to 3 year perspective, a more than double story could be on play.
Perfect. This sounds very nice, Rajesh. Thank you so much for giving such insights on the cement sector, something which obviously everybody is expecting to grow but has a lot of doubts about. Thanks a lot. And thanks everyone for joining this webinar today. Have a
Thanks,
great day.
Payal. Thanks, everyone.